While California politicians cry for more government handouts, the truth is simple. The USDA is bloated, broken, and picking winners and losers with your tax dollars. Farmers don't need more bureaucracy, they need freedom. Let's break it down.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fordyce, thank you for being here. I appreciate your work. During the first Trump administration, you oversaw the implementation of the Market Facilitation Program, as well as the Wildfire and Hurricane Indemnity Program. Both of those programs were implemented in such a way that, as I talked to farmers throughout California, they found that they had a lot of difficulty in accessing them because of the different nature of the specialty crops they grow than farmers in other parts of the country. Will you commit to working with me to ensure that any future rollout of USDA financial assistance is more fairly distributed? That is, that specialty crop farmers are equally able to access it as other farmers?
Yes, Senator, and thank you for that question. And you know, I do appreciate very much the agriculture nature of the state of California. It is the most agriculture diverse state in the country. And I appreciate that and understand that fairly well. I wouldn't want to completely tell you that I know how all of those crops are grown, but do appreciate that. You know, and I think you make a good point on the programs that you mentioned, and part of that was due to the fact that the agencies had not worked with those commodities, those crops, and those growers really before. And so, you know, I felt like we were fairly innovative in trying to get the word out and the message out, and certainly through our outreach programs and communications programs, attempted to do that more on a personal level. But then we discovered that it would work much better if we were having those conversations with the organizations that represent those growers. And so United Fresh and others were organizations that we partnered with, which we had never partnered with before, to get that information out. And it was a little bit, it was probably a little bit of a slow start at the beginning of the program, but I think it became quite robust by the end of both of the programs that you mentioned. But absolutely, I would commit to working with you if there's another program similar to that to make sure we're talking to the right folks and getting the right message out there.
Great. I appreciate that, and we're happy to help facilitate those meetings with those associations. I also want to raise a concern about USDA's ongoing rollout of disaster funding as authorized by the American Relief Act of 2025. First, I'm concerned that the rules USDA has created in establishing block grants for states which face disaster in the past few years make it pretty much impossible for California to receive aid. Second, I hope that in the second round of the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program that it's developed in such a way that specialty crop and diversified farmers may more easily access relief. I recently sent a letter to the administration on this issue, and I know you're not currently a USDA, but are you committed to working together on this matter and others so that we can make sure that California and specialty crop producers more generally receive their fair degree of USDA support? And just to give an illustration, some of the disaster relief is focused on hurricanes and only hurricanes. We've had hurricanes that turned into tropical storms when they went inland that did a lot of damage. And of course, we've been ravaged by atmospheric rivers, and the flooding that they result in, and fires. And so to exclude certain disasters and only include others that, frankly, are visited on other states seems very inequitable for the West. So I want to make sure you're committed to working on that issue as well to make sure that these decisions are made in a nonpartisan and non-geographic way that is accessible for all farmers throughout the country.
Yes, Senator, absolutely would commit to that. And I can't speak much to the progress of those disaster programs or the cause of loss for the declarations, but yes, would commit to certainly working with you moving forward.
One other issue, if I could. Over a third of the country's vegetables and 3/4 of the country's fruits and nuts are grown in California, but just 9% of farms growing specialty crops are insured. Given your past experience at USDA, can you speak to the challenges that specialty crop producers face in accessing crop insurance and what you think you can do as Undersecretary to address it.
Welcome back to Jace Manhwa. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss the truth the mainstream media refuses to cover. Now, let's talk about this hearing. What we just watched was a senator grilling USDA leadership about how California's so-called specialty crops weren't getting the same handouts as big commodity farmers during the Trump administration. And look, here's the reality. Government programs always end up picking winners and losers. That's what happens when Washington thinks it can manage every corner of our economy instead of letting the free market work. Mr. Ford, the USDA official, admitted the agency had trouble even figuring out how to deal with these crops because they were never set up to do that. And that right there shows the problem. We don't need more bloated bureaucracy trying to micromanage farming. We need a government that gets out of the way and creates fair rules for everyone. Farmers know how to run their land better than any federal pencil pusher in D.C. Now, the senator also complained that California isn't getting enough disaster aid compared to states hit by hurricanes. But here's the truth. When the government gets into the business of disaster relief, politics always decides who gets the money. That's why we see favoritism, regional bias, and endless red tape. Instead of constantly demanding more handouts, what we need is accountability, streamlined programs, and a focus on protecting taxpayer dollars. Because every time the USDA expands these programs, guess who pays? We do. Hardworking Americans. And then we heard about crop insurance. California farmers only have 9% of their specialty crops insured, and the senator wants the federal government to bend the system even more to cover them. Again, this is the cycle. The government creates dependency, and then politicians use that dependency to score political points. Real conservatives know the answer isn't endless bailouts and new bureaucratic schemes. It's empowering farmers to succeed without being chained to Washington. So, while the senator wants to frame this as fairness, what I see is another push to expand government control and keep states like California hooked on federal aid. The solution isn't bigger programs. It's freedom, responsibility, and letting American farmers thrive without political interference. That's my take. If you're tired of big government wasting your money and playing politics with our farmers' livelihoods, make sure you like this video, hit subscribe, and share it with others who are ready to stand up for common sense. This is Jace Manhwa, signing off.